All right, all right, all right, all right. Hey Aquarius, how you doing? Just I just heard that they had caught the killer in the Rachel Morin case. There is going to be a press conference at 2 p.m. So just kind of waiting on all that. So if you don't know about the Rachel Morin case, um, it's the mother of five. She was going on a run in the Maryland mom pa hiking trail. She went missing, never reported back, and she went missing, and they found her body in a tunnel. So she was bludgeoned. That's all the information I have at this point, but I'm waiting to see if any news agencies pick it up so I can. I don't know how that happened. That's terrible. Go ahead and go resub back. I don't know how that happened. Um, so let me see if I can find let me find an old video of mine until they start the press conference. At least give you guys a little bit of history about Rachel. It is a sad case, and I did a case on her. Let me see if I can find one. So y'all hang with me. There's so much stuff in my library now. It's like it's crazy. It's gonna be about 2 p.m. So we still have a little bit to go. So hopefully I'm able to stream it. Hopefully I'm able to find something that can stream it. If y'all find a link to a live news stream, please put that in the StreamYard. That way I can go right over there. I don't know if I can do that or email it to me. Um, because I won't be able to be searching and then, go back to what I'm trying to do here. I know I did a case with her. She had her face. There it is. Okay. Let me play this again to give you a little bit of update about what I'm talking about here. Let me close some of these tabs so they don't interfere with my sound. Happy Saturday morning to everybody. If you don't know who I am, my name is 12 Gauge, and um, welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. If you haven't been here before, I don't see anybody that hasn't, but if you haven't been here before, try to check it out. Check out the library. There's plenty of videos and content in there that can keep you going for days if you just binge watch it. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of things that hopefully you can enjoy in there. Those of you that are here, thank you so much. I'm going to play the Rachel Morin update, at least the last one that I did. I don't want to do the first one because this one has more information. So let's get started until we hear something. If y'all, like I said, if Do you have that link to the press conference? I can't find it. If you have that link, email it to me at this address. I don't know if at 2 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, you sent it? Good. Well, let me go find it. Okay, I'm waiting on it. Okay, I'm still waiting, guys. So you'll hold on. Let me stop sharing that. Did you send it to my email or did you send it to the StreamYard box? I'm waiting for. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay. Here we go. I got it. Thank you. Let's go ahead and watch the press conference. Here we go.
Special Agent in Charge, FBI, Baltimore Field Office. Evan Campanella, Assistant Special Agent in Charge, HSI, Baltimore Field Office. Allison Healy, Harford County State's Attorney. Also in attendance are Colonel William Davis, Chief Deputy, Harford County Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Christopher Maddox, Criminal Investigations Division, Harford County Sheriff's Office. David Hughes, Deputy Chief, Bel Air Police Department. John Cook, Chief of Staff, Washington, Baltimore, HIDA. Patrick Vincenti, President of the Harford County Council, and members of Rachel's family. After Ms. Healy concludes her remarks, Patty Morin, Rachel's mom, will offer a few remarks as well. She will not be taking questions today. We know that you have many questions for all of us. Please keep in mind that we will try to answer as many as we can, but this investigation is still ongoing, and there are some details we cannot discuss at this time. Again, thank you for joining us, taking your time and dedication to telling Rachel's story. And with that, Sheriff Gaylor.
Thanks, Christy. Good afternoon, everybody. As Christy said, I'm Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor. As everyone's aware, on August 6, 2023, our peaceful Harford County community was rocked when the body of Rachel Morin was discovered in an area just about a mile from here, just off the Ma and Pa hiking trail here just outside the town of Bel Air. In addition to the impact to our local Harford County community, Rachel's murder gained national and even international attention. The young mother of 5, whose life was violently taken in a public location, is one of the safest places in the state. It's not supposed to happen, and it shouldn't have happened. In the days and months since Rachel was murdered, Rachel's family and friends, our Harford County community, and the men and women of the Harford County Sheriff's Office, along with all of our allied partners, have worked tirelessly to bring the individual responsible for her death to justice. Our deputies and our partners have worked this case with persistence and passion for Rachel and for her family every day over the past 10 months. Just over 3 weeks ago, on May 20th, on what should have been Rachel's 38th birthday, And in a poetic coincidence, or perhaps in Rachel's own divine assistance, our investigators uncovered a lead that led us to this day. And on this day, I'm here to tell you Rachel's murderer is no longer a free man. Um, Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again. The lead we received was related to DNA evidence and allowed investigators to finally put a name to the image of the suspect in the video from Los Angeles, which we released 2 weeks after Rachel's death. After we had the video, we knew what he looked like. We knew what he looked like, but we didn't know who he was. With the new DNA evidence, now we know who he is, but we still didn't know where he was. As I have stated many times, this killer could have been laying his head in any community in the country or even in the world, and indeed, that was completely accurate. Over the past 2 weeks, investigators continued their diligent investigation and tracked our suspect all the way from Prince George's County to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our investigators also obtained an arrest warrant yesterday afternoon, and as the arrest warrant was being issued, we met with Rachel's family, many of whom are with us today, to update them on the case and asked of them an almost impossible request, and that was to keep the information about the identity and the arrest warrant to themselves and protected to allow investigators the opportunity to try to apprehend this suspect before it was made public in the news, so that our suspect did not have the opportunity to learn that he was wanted and to once again flee. 5 hours after meeting with the family, and just before midnight our time, police in Tulsa, Oklahoma, assisted by our federal partners, located and arrested Rachel's murderer, Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez. So far, we have learned that the suspect, now pictured on the screens, is a 23-year-old citizen of El Salvador who illegally crossed the border into the United States in February of 2023. We all suspected that perhaps Rachel was not his first victim, and it's my understanding that this suspect, this monster, fled to the United States illegally after committing the brutal murder of a young woman in El Salvador a month early in January of 2023. Once in our country, and likely emboldened by his anonymity, he brutally attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother during a home invasion in March of 2023 in Los Angeles. And as everyone I believe is aware, that was our first DNA match linking Rachel's case to the Los Angeles case. It has been a fear of mine that once we identified this suspect, the result would be exactly this. And I want to now direct these comments to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and to every member in both chambers of Congress. We are 1,800 miles away here in Harford County. We are 1,800 miles away from the southern border, and the American citizens are not safe because of failed immigration policies. This is the second time in just 2 years that an innocent Harford County woman has lost her life to a criminal in our country illegally. Let me repeat that. 1,800 miles from the southern border, and this is the second woman in our county to be killed by an illegal alien. Suspects, in both cases, they are suspects from El Salvador with ties to criminal gangs. Should not be happening. Victor Hernandez did not come here to make a better life for himself or for his family. He came here to escape the crime he committed in El Salvador. He came here and murdered Rachel, and God willing, no one else. But that should have never been allowed to happen. Moving on, I want to make it clear that this case does not get solved, and we do not bring this criminal to justice without the amazing law enforcement teamwork from our local, state, and federal partners. And I mean that in all sincerity. Rachel's homicide does not get solved. There is no arrest without all of us working together. And for that, I want to thank everyone here in the front of the room and all those who aren't here, but I'm going to cover a list in a minute. I want to thank all of them for their assistance to our agency over the past 10 months, We are profoundly grateful for your dedication and support. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, especially the Baltimore Field Office, rendered invaluable assistance throughout the course of the investigation. Similarly, the State Police, Maryland State Police Crime Laboratory, contributed greatly with their expertise and resources. I must also say thank you to the Los Angeles Police Department, the Department of Homeland Security, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, the Maryland State Police Bel Air Barrack, the U.S. Marshal Service Fugitive Task Force, the Harford County State's Attorney's Office, the Maryland Department of Natural Resources Police, the Bel Air Police Department, Maryland Coordination and Analysis Center, the Baltimore Washington HIDA, the Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department, El Salvadorian authorities, and the many law enforcement agencies, both state and local, who provided invaluable assistance to the Harford County Sheriff's Office during this investigation. As I think is evident, this was truly a comprehensive law enforcement effort, and I am exceptionally proud of the work done by the collective team and countless others who made last night's arrest in Tulsa possible. I also want to thank the members of our Harford County community for their patience, support, and cooperation throughout this investigation, to include hundreds upon hundreds of tips that our investigators have received. Today, we were able to provide what some like to refer to as closure to Rachel's family and for our Harford County community. I want to thank the members of the Morin family, and you're going to hear from, as Christy said, from Patricia here in a minute, but no questions. They have been by the side of our detectives this entire time, doing anything that they could do to help the investigation and to help our detectives, to help bring this individual that took Rachel's life to justice. I recognize there is nothing that will ever close the door or bring true closure concerning the loss of Rachel, but it is my hope and the hope of all involved working this case that the arrest of this suspect brings her family and our Harford County community some peace. I would like to now ask FBI Baltimore Field Office Special Agent in Charge, William DeBano, did I get it right? DeBano, to offer a few remarks.
Thank you, Sheriff Gaylor. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Del Bagno. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI Baltimore Field Office. Today, our focus remains on Rachel, bringing justice for her, finding answers for her family and loved ones, and making sure the violent criminal who so viciously took her life cannot harm anyone else. The FBI is proud to stand united with our partners in the Harford County Sheriff's Office as we announce this arrest. We know nothing can take away the pain and the anguish Rachel's family and friends have endured. Please know, on behalf of the FBI, our hearts are with you. To the public, keeping our community safe is one of the FBI's highest priorities, and so are the invaluable partnerships required to accomplish this. During the investigation, here's what I can share from the FBI. Our investigative genetic genealogy team in Baltimore worked countless hours to identify the suspect by using crime scene DNA and tracing that DNA to potential family members. Investigators even traveled to El Salvador as part of their efforts to identify this killer. To find the suspect, we provided technical assistance, helping to pinpoint his location. And that brings us to last night, where Tulsa police and FBI agents were able to successfully apprehend and arrest the suspect in Oklahoma. Harford County and the investigators on this case worked every angle, tirelessly and constantly, never giving up and following every lead and piece of evidence. We thank Harford County for their partnership and bringing us into the investigation. As Sheriff Gaylor outlined, we thank everyone who helped make this arrest possible. To all those who have been waiting for an arrest to be made, for answers, we hope this brings a sense of justice and some peace. The FBI vows to continue to work every day to keep our community safe and prioritize the partnerships so vital to doing that. Thank you. I will now turn it over to Evan Campanella, the Deputy Special Agent in Charge, HSI, Baltimore.
Thank you, Sec Del Bagno. First off, I would like to thank Sheriff Gaylor for having HSI present for today's announcement. Today's announcement is the culmination of almost 1 year of investigative activity that might not always go noticed by the public. This investigation highlights the cooperation and the collaboration HSI has with its state and local and federal partners, and I'm happy to be here today with Sheriff Gaylor and our partners to announce the arrest of Mr. Martinez Hernandez. I hope that today's announcement, as the sheriff pointed out, will help bring some closure to Rachel's family. And again, I would like to thank Sheriff Gaylor for asking HSI to participate in this investigation and to be here for today's announcement. I would now like to invite Harford County State's Attorney, Allison Healy, to the podium for her remarks.
Good afternoon. I want to commend the Harford County Sheriff's Office and other assisting agencies on the hard work, expertise, and diligence identifying and apprehending the suspect in the murder of Rachel Morin. They worked tirelessly on this lengthy and difficult investigation for the public safety of our community and bringing Rachel's family peace, knowing that the next step is prosecution. I will personally be leading the prosecution of this case. While the defendant is innocent until and unless he is proven guilty, Harford County and our neighboring communities can rest assured that my office will take all steps necessary to ensure that justice is served for Rachel Morin and her family. We have already begun coordinating with the Warrant Apprehension Unit of the Harford County Sheriff's Office to handle the extradition of the defendant to Harford County. And once the defendant has been transported back to Harford County, prosecution will commence. Thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce to you all Patricia Morin.
I'm going to make this really short because I'm very emotional. I just want to take this time to thank all of the law enforcement for all their hard work. I know that a lot of times we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. You know, you see the policeman in the car when you write you a ticket, but you don't see the real work that happens behind. And around Christmas time, we did a canvassing with Harford County, thank you. And they brought us into a room and I could see all the people that were involved. And that's not even all the external agencies that were involved. And it just gave me such hope that they really did care about our family and my daughter, that they were going to work diligently to find the person that murdered her. At one point, when things seemed like really bleak and hopeless, the lead detective said to me, he said, patience will win in the end. And that's what they've been doing. They've been diligently working very hard, and they've been patiently working through all the leads. And it's because of that that we have an arrest today. So I'm very thankful and just very grateful to these men. And I'm also very grateful to the press because you kept her story alive so that people would still continue to send in tips. And that helped them to do their job. So I want to thank the press as well. But I don't know if this is, oops, sorry about that. I don't know if this is kosher or not. I'm going to step away from the pulpit. But I think we should applaud them just because I am so grateful that they have brought us to this place. Because at some of the points during this, I didn't think that we were ever going to have an end, that it was going to be a cold case. So I would like to applaud them.
thank you. And it's a case that touched us all. So with that, we are going to take some questions. As Christy said, this is still an active investigation. So there's some things that we're not free to speak about or won't be speaking about. So with that, does anybody have any questions that we can answer for any of the speakers?
I have a question. I want to know if you can, and I know Christopher kind of went into it a little bit, but what actually happens with him right now? I feel like we read it in high school. I don't know if you're familiar with that term or if you can kind of
I'm very familiar with ICE detainers.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure.
Yes, we are
What's the status?
there has been an ICE detainer filed on him because he is in this country illegally out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He would not be deported before answering for these charges. So I honestly believe that's the last place he wants to go. I think, a sad statement is our jails are better here than they are in El Salvador. And he's going to spend, God willing, the rest of his days behind bars. Investigators are still working. I mean, he worked a few odd jobs that we are familiar with. Did not live a very, expensive lifestyle. But this is a free country. You can, once you're in it, you can move from one jurisdiction to the next, very freely. And he did that from El Salvador into the United States to Los Angeles, unfortunately here to Harford County. And again, down in Prince George's County, we had him in the Virginia area, and then all the way out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And in the year he's been in the country, a little year plus, who knows where else he's been. And it's a fear of mine. It's a fear of our investigators. And as Patty said, our investigators took this case to heart, as they do all the cases. But this case they took to heart, and they worked so hard and have an emotional tie to it that I got off on a tangent. That they I lost my train of thought. Investigators are working that. We certainly know he has connections down in the D.C. area, both Virginia and Prince George's County. But again, as he moved around the country, there were places that we believe he probably had associates, and he has ties to known gangs. So we believe that's how he lived his life. That's where I was going before. We fear all the time. The investigators fear that we're going to stumble across another crime that just hasn't been tied back through DNA or some other science or electronic, tie, that the evidence just hasn't reached the point where we get a hit. But right now, what we're familiar with is the crime in Los Angeles, the home invasion in March of 2023, the homicide here of Rachel in August of 2023. And I believe in Tulsa, he's facing some local charges as well for last night. I think trespassing or disorderly or something to that effect. We're not familiar with any other. I'm not familiar with any other charges. Oh, in El Salvador, there is a what's called a red notice. A red notice, which is basically an Interpol warrant for his arrest to bring him back there to stand for the homicide of the woman in that case down there. Well, and I got to defer to our partners at the FBI on that one because they did most of the international.
Thanks, sir. So the FBI has personnel that are positioned throughout the world. They're called legal attaches. We have a legal attache that is in El Salvador. As we were conducting some of the investigative actions along with Harford County, some of the investigative information took us to El Salvador and working with our partners there in order to understand some of the familial ties that are down there, and also bring together back a better understanding of the red notice that Sheriff Gaylor brought up as well. I don't have any information.
he was arrested? Was it a traffic stop? Was it something that happened?
As I understand it, there was about, I don't know how many hours they're behind, 2, 3, Tulsa. So it was midnight our time, and he was hanging out at a business park or a storefront, and the police encountered him, and apparently there's a charge of, we say it's trespassing, and he was identified during that arrest and processing.
Any idea of a motive here, or we think he's just
Well, that's been a question since the outset. Was Rachel's homicide random or targeted? And again, I don't know that we have that answer explicitly or completely. But at this point, there's nothing to indicate that anyone other than him was involved. We do have some belief that he spent some time here in the Bel Air area, so he may have seen her and her more or less routine operations. One of the things that we caution people, particularly women on the trail, about doing was developing a routine where it can be predicted where you might be. That would be my suspicion. If he decides to talk throughout the course of the days ahead to either investigators or prosecutors as it moves to that stage, we may learn more about, was it just an opportunity because he was on the trail when, unfortunately she decided to go out exercising that day, or was it something more specific? As to the motive, we've been tight-lipped, I guess, about it. The charges in the case are first-degree murder and first-degree rape. Yeah. And as the colonel just reminded me to say, we do have right now in the air, we have sent investigators to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to follow up on many things related to this investigation. It's very active and ongoing, as I said. He will be extradited here eventually, and that will be done. That process has already been initiated, but it could take, as I understand, to the state's attorney, 10 to 30 days. 10 days if he doesn't fight it, 30 days if he decides to fight it. But he will be extradited. 30 to 60.
Yes, about so it sounds like it. Yeah, I'm not really sure if we really hear that so often with cases, like packing cases, especially once it's working so hard to figure out. So if you can just walk us through how that really works.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of folks know genetic genealogy or investigative genetic genealogy in some of the cold cases, and certainly has gotten a lot of attention from the Golden State Killer, and since then, a lot of investigations on the cold case side. I think folks should also know that we prioritize the violent crime cases that are current, and that this is an game-changing investigative tool to understand when there are dry holes and there's no other leads to go, that we can apply the investigative genealogy to identify potentially family members, and then in doing that, take it on to a step where Harford County and our partners can conduct interviews to better understand who the potential subjects are and narrow down that scope. We also use it on, unfortunately, the victim side when we can't identify a victim through any other means, and building out the cases that way. We've seen over time 130 cases thus far since 2018 that have had successfully used investigative genetic genealogy.
There's no traffic. There's no traffic stop. Well, he was encountered by the police and the agents for the FBI who were out there looking for him. So they had an idea of where he was. But I know that from that encounter, there's also a local charge of trespassing, not in a vehicle. He was apparently at that business, I guess, unwantedly so. He was. We already had the name. We had the arrest warrant. So when they encountered him, they knew he was wanted. So he was picked up for that.
With the innovation in California, will you take it in charge there? Does this take precedent? How does
Oh, certainly, this is the more serious, the loss of life. California will follow up on their investigation. They would have to direct questions to that police. It's LAPD that is handling that as far as specifics to their investigation. But certainly, we have been in communication. Our investigators have been in communication with theirs. They are aware that we identified the suspect here, and by identifying our suspect, we have their suspect, they have their suspect, and they can move forward on charges. They would also file an arrest warrant on file. So, I never want him to leave Maryland again. I want him to die in a Maryland jail, Maryland prison system. Um, we don't have the death penalty, so I just hope he spent the rest of his days there. But if he ever got out of this one, he would be sent extradited to California. And if he got out of that one, there's still the red folder, the red notice, where El Salvador would want him back, and ICE has marked him for detainer. So he would go back there to face those charges. I do not know. No. Actually, the major in the back is shaking his head. No, he does not. And again, we shared the picture. You all will have the picture. It's going to be, no doubt, out there on social media. So we're still looking for information. He was in this area for at least some period of time. And when I say the area, he was in the Bel Air area for some period of time before or right after the homicide, or both. So if people still have information, and now that there's a name to put with the face, investigators still want to talk to you. We still want to know. We still want to build that timeline, because there's a case to prosecute, and we want to put all the pieces together so that Miss Healy can do her job most successfully, and again, ensure this guy never sees the light of day.
Did you ever have any contact with police officers in Bel Air?
Not that we're familiar with. Thank you all, and again, thank our partners. To have Rachel's family here means so much to not me. I mean, to me, of course, but to the investigators who work this case tirelessly. I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of our federal, state, and local partners. So, with that, thank you. Okay.
We made a decision earlier today that we are not going to share the suspect's photo on our social media. It was here. If you have, if you would like a copy of the flyer, you can send an email to media@hartfordsheriff.org, and I will send it to you if you would like to use it in your newscast, but we will not.
Okay, I guess that was the end of it. I guess we can continue on if you guys want to stay. Okay, I don't know what all that was about, but if you guys want to stay on a little bit and get a little bit updated on the case, I can present a little bit of the cold case that I made a while back. If not, thank you for being here. Let me know how many of y'all are going to plan on staying in here, that I can present this for a little bit, and then we can talk about it if y'all want to. See that. You get a double dose of 12 gauge here. I mean, I hear myself talking. I'm like, bro. Rachel Morin, a mother of 5, body discovered along a hiking trail. There for a while, this was happening pretty recent. It's happening pretty frequent. And when this happened, what do you think was the first thing the police thought? They thought that Rachel's new boyfriend had something to do with it. So we're going to go and do the overview, and then I'll show you the timeline. We'll do the map, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, Jeff says, howdy 12 Gauge, just finishing up a phone call. Rachel was passionate about her family more than anything, and there's Rachel. Born on May 20th, 1986, in New Hampshire, Rachel Morin was always the person in the room, spreading joy with her infectious love for life. Isn't it interesting how the most outgoing and jovial people are the ones who unfortunately get their lives cut short? Not all the time, but there's a lot of times that people that are very giving to others are very advantageous and outgoing often end up the victims of crime, and that is so sad. And this is one of those cases. Um, Her family says Rachel was a devoted mother to her children, Faye, Violet, Octavia, Declan, and Lila. Beyond being a mother, she loved fashion and playing with style. Photos of Rachel depict her as a trendy woman, always with a smile as her greatest accessory. Rachel was also an avid fitness enthusiast, often participating in 5Ks, marathons, and lifting weights. She enjoyed traveling when she could, and she had visited numerous places, namely Miami, Aruba, Las Vegas, and New England. Her family says Rachel was the life of every party. She had a special knack for making people laugh. Rachel's obituary reads, her presence was the joy she showed, and her smile the light in the room. She was deeply devoted to her faith, which was a guiding force throughout her life. That's a very awesome eulogy right there. On the Saturday evening of August 5th, 2023, Rachel went out for an evening walk along the Ma and Pa Heritage Trail, as she often did. This is not unusual. Most people, they work throughout the day and then they take a walk or they work out in the evenings. It's not unusual. So it says here that she often did that. The trail is a scenic 6.25-mile multi-purpose path with varying terrains. Parts of the path are either paved, decked over, or within the woods. But when Rachel didn't make it home that night, her boyfriend Richard Tobin reports her as missing to the police just before midnight at 11:23. So she went out walking in the evening, so it doesn't say about what time. But he waited until 11:23 p.m. to report her missing. The next day, an organized search is put together when a citizen discovered the woman's body inside a drainage tunnel. She is later identified as Rachel Morin. We'll get to this part, but it says on August 17, 2023, investigators found a DNA match to another suspect after entering the male DNA found at the scene into the combined DNA index system, which is CODIS. We'll get to that. The suspect is the same person who committed a home invasion and assault of a young girl in Los Angeles in March 2023. Doorbell camera footage of the suspect shows the man leaving the home wearing pants and no shirt. He described as a Hispanic male in his early to mid 20s, standing approximately 5'9" and weighing about 160 pounds. So that's not very big. Not very big at all. Let's see what this says right here. Little dude. Okay, just showing you basically what the individual looked like. 5'9", 160 pounds. He just committed another crime right there when that camera recorded him. Where does case stand today? Rachel's case is currently unsolved, and the family needs your help to keep Rachel's story in the news. Recently, Tim Papa, former FBI patrol or special agent and profiler with the BAU, worked with Mornins' family to film emotional videos. Papa's mission at the Ma and Pa Trail, Maryland, was simple: give Rachel's loved ones the space to share their feelings following a traumatic event while standing in a significant location, aka the persuasive geography, to create moving content that could help drive the case. Let's see what this says.
This is this final resting place of Rachel in this tunnel. Kind of looks like a sewer. I think about her laying here, and I wonder if she was, half awake, looking at the light and just saying, I just got to make it to that light. She thinking about her kids. She thinking about me. Did she feel hopeless here? Think about warm, feeling warm under her head, and then making the connection. That's blood. It's dark. Did you feel alone? It's not. Think about like what she looked like, beaten or whatever. It's like still pretty. I don't care how dirty, how scary, how she felt. I wish I could feel it for her. And I won't look away. That's kind of why I'm spending so much time in these tunnels, this tunnel specifically.
That's real emotional right there. A lot of times we don't see that part of the family after the crime has been committed. And I talked about this last night on another live that I was on. Oftentimes we only see the after effect of a tragedy, the clinical part of it, as far as what happened, where it ended up, who potentially did it, how it happened, and that was it. And people, I believe, or I think that people forget that there's family members that are grieving this individual. This was their sister. This was this guy's sister. And if you could hear in his voice, he broke up about it. I don't blame him. I mean, that's his sister. And to have somebody that you cared about taken from you and not know who that individual is must be disheartening and agonizing. It says in October 2023, evidence related to the crime leads investigators to the Washington, D.C. metro area where they interview an individual they say is relevant to the case to help identify the subject. Then in November 2023, the Morin family distributed flyers to the Los Angeles region, partnering with the U.S. Postal Service's targeted mailing program. The flyers are delivered to about 10,000 homes. Most recently, on November 29, 2023, all cameras were starting to be installed along the Ma and Pa hiking trail. The project completion date is expected to be February 2024. So possibly by now, those cameras have been installed. Let's go ahead and listen to Rachel's 18-year-old daughter.
Can you tell us a little bit about where we are right now?
This is where my mom's house used to be. That's now gone. I just think about going upstairs in my mom's room and laying down with her.
How old were you then? You'd go up and lay down with her?
All the time. I always wanted to.
That's a sweet memory.
I feel like the person who did this took a lot of experiences away from us. We talked about doing a lot of things together, and she's never going to be able to be at my wedding. I'm never going to be able to go to hers. Like, she's never going to be able to meet my kids. And I just feel like we had a lot of plans that we just never get to do anymore because he just took them away one day. And there's just a lot of things that we talked about that we should have been able to do together that is just gone. And
So tragic. So tragic. Okay, let's look at the timeline. It says Rachel goes out August 5th, 2023, 6 p.m. Rachel goes for a walk in the early evening. Rachel goes out to an early evening walk along the Mom and Pa Trail around 6 p.m. 11:23 p.m. Rachel fails to return home. After Rachel failed to return home from her walk and doesn't contact anyone, her boyfriend Richard Tobin worries and reports her missing to the police at 11:23. August 6th, 1 p.m. A citizen reports finding a woman's body off the Mom and Pa Trail. The next day at around 1 p.m., during the organized search, a citizen discovers a woman's body while walking along the Mom and Pa Trail. August 6th, the body is confirmed to be Rachel Morin. Later that afternoon, Sheriff Jeffrey Gawler identified to be 37-year-old Rachel Morin, turning the investigation from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation. August 6th, Rachel's boyfriend denies involvement in her death. Rachel's boyfriend Richard Tobin takes to social media to deny involvement in Rachel's death, despite details of her criminal record circulating. I love Rachel. I would never do anything to her. Let the family and I agree, Mr. Tobin writes. Yes, I have a past, but I also have 15 months clean and have changed as a person. Please. August 11th, investigators contact potential witnesses. Detectives identify and contact 5 people who were walking their dogs on the trail between 6 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. The night Morin was on the trail walking to formulate a timeline. August 17th, DNA evidence matches another crime scene. DNA collected at the crime scene is analyzed by the Maryland State Police and then entered into the CODIS DNA under the system. The evidence is a match to DNA collected from a March home invasion and assault of a young girl in Los Angeles. August 27, 2023, 1 p.m., celebration of life. A public celebration of life is held at the Greater Grace World Outreach Church. Many people bring flowers to put on a display and all family, friends, and community and the media are welcomed. August 17, 2023, police released doorbell cam footage of the potential suspect. That's the one that I played for you guys a while ago. Wow. I wasn't expecting that guy with, you know. So that's pretty much the updated portion of it written wise. I'm going to show you a video now that kind of outlines it a little more. I'm sorry, guys. Before we begin, I want to give Law and Crime Network the credit for this video and thank you for allowing me to use this video. I had nothing to do with the creation. It is just used for entertainment value. So let's go ahead and begin watching this.
Someone who looks like this man, possibly wearing a hat. Investigators in Maryland say a man who looks just like this murdered Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 and a beloved daughter and sister. I'm Anjanette Levy. It's Tuesday, and this is Crime Fix. The sketch of the man in the Air Jordan hat is the newest clue, a little more than 6 months after Rachel Morin was attacked and murdered on the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland. The crime has rocked the small community where people once felt safe. The Harford County Sheriff's Office just released these sketches of the man who murdered Rachel Morin. The search for her killer is a nationwide manhunt. Detectives don't know his name, but they have his DNA. Last year, we told you the sheriff said the man who murdered Morin in August was also involved in an assault in Los Angeles months earlier in March. Home security video from a house in LA recorded the man leaving shirtless, but it only caught a side profile of him. Now you're going to hear from the sheriff of Harford County, Maryland, on why he believes these sketches look just like the man who murdered Rachel Morin. Stay tuned for more on that and why that Air Jordan hat he is wearing is so important to the investigation. The sheriff's office has interviewed more than 100 people. Detectives have scoured the area for clues and surveillance video, and they've pleaded with the public for help. They've traveled to several states, and now they've even produced a new podcast, all in the hope of reaching people who can help solve Rachel Morin's murder. Joining me to discuss the very latest on the investigation into Rachel Morin's murder is Sheriff Jeff Gaylor of Harford County. Sheriff Gaylor, bring us up to speed. What's the very latest since you've released these 2 sketches of the suspect?
Obviously, the big news this week is that yesterday we released a composite. That's been a question since early on in the investigation. We had the video of the suspect leaving a crime scene in Los Angeles in March of last year, 6 months in advance of Rachel's homicide. And from that crime scene, DNA was collected, and there was some Ring doorbell camera, which gave us a short video and a side, more of a side picture in the back of the suspect. So working off of that and talking to witnesses and witnesses here in our county who saw an individual that they thought suspicious on the trail in the days and hours ahead of Rachel's homicide, we finally have a composite that we have a much higher level of confidence in. It's been shown to both the people here and the people in Los Angeles, and they feel that it's a good representation, an accurate representation of our suspect in this case.
So when you say it's been shown to people there in Maryland, in the Bel Air, Maryland area, Harford County, and I'm assuming the person in Los Angeles, the house that this person was leaving, because that's where you got some of the DNA from, or, the DNA matched, the DNA left on Rachel Morin matched DNA from that incident in Los Angeles. So somebody from that incident was able to say, yeah, that looks like him.
Correct. And there were actually, and again, that case is still an active investigation being investigated by the Los Angeles Police Department. So we're limited on what we can say about that. But what I can say is there were multiple people in that home, and everyone has been spoken to by our investigators and shown that picture. I don't know that everybody's been shown that picture, but multiple people have been shown that picture from California. And again, the information that our investigators are getting back is they feel it is a good representation of what the suspect looks like. And obviously, the baseball hat is a unique. It's a Michael Jordan, Air Jordan red baseball hat with a flat brim, and the new sticker is still on it the way some people like to wear it. That hat is what was recovered out there, what the DNA was pulled off of.
So that is a big deal. The Air Jordan hat that you see in that composite sketch was actually recovered from the house in Los Angeles where the suspect was seen leaving on camera in March of last year, months before Rachel Morin was murdered. And that's where they got the DNA for the suspect. That DNA is what linked the two crimes. Now, that hat could be a key clue.
One of the items collected by the Los Angeles Police Department was this hat. And we have reason to believe, from witnesses who believe they saw our suspect here, that he had a hat on. So it's not the same hat, but it could be a identical hat or something similar, but probably wears it in a similar style, flat brim with, again, in this case, it was an Air Jordan. And like many people in society do today, they like to leave the tags on it that come from the manufacturer. So just one more bit of information that we hope clicks in someone's mind and they say, I might have an idea who this.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing that for now because I go into different areas on that video, and I'll also have another person come up there and start talking about their perspective. So, good morning to everybody and good afternoon to those of us in the Central Time Zone. There's some breaking news that Rachel Morin's killer has been caught. They said his name, but it had like 5 different names, so I can't even get to telling you what it is. If y'all are listening in the chat and happen to catch it, can you type it in the chat? I think it was one something, 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 something. I don't know. All I know is that he was an illegal from El Salvador. He crossed over illegally a year ago after committing a vicious crime and murder over there in El Salvador on a young child and a mother. And his name was Victor Antonio Hernandez Martinez. I never understood why people needed that many names. I don't know what's up with my I might have to change out the the. It keeps knocking me off. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to clean all this stuff up before I go live tomorrow. It's probably Hernandez Martinez. Yeah, but I mean, can y'all hear me now? It keeps knocking me off. I don't know what the deal is, so I'm gonna have to clean it up. But once again, this is live. Um, I did capture part, if not all, the press conference. Thank you, Deception, for the link. I was able to catch it before they got off from the live broadcast. It's very sad that this happened this way. This is just tragic, man. It pisses me off to an extent that not only this crime happened, there was another college kid, female, that was running along the track not far from there, not long after, that was also killed by an illegal. Um, the value of life for some people that cross over illegally, since violence is a daily living over there. I'm pretty sure. They think nothing of it. They think nothing of it, of coming over here and committing vicious crimes, killing people, killing women, killing children, and even killing men. It's nothing for them to do that. So it's tragic, and I don't want to make it political, but it's crap. It's crap how we allow individuals to come over here that don't want to better their lives, but just want to bring their criminal element over here and just take out somebody who was on an evening exercise walk, rape her, and killed her. A home invasion in LA. No telling how he traumatized that individual. It's disgusting. It's tragic. But when you start to talk about some kind of border reform or anything like that, people get all up in arms talking about, well, we want, these people are coming over for a better life, this and that and the other. We're a melting pot, blah, 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 blah. Well, I understand all that. I understand it. I get it. There are many people that came over legally, gotten their citizenship, and made something of their lives. But we're up to like, what, 3, 4 million people crossing illegally in the last 10 years? I don't know. It just there needs to be a better process where we can keep an eye on the violent ones, just like keep an eye on the violent ones that are naturally born to walk these streets every day breaking the law. It just, like Missy says, life had desensitized them. It's survival for them. It's quite sad. You're right. Hi, Susan. How you doing this morning? Hi, Twizzle. Missy, I said hi to you. Um, Aquarius, thank you for being here. Let me see if my mouse is even working. I don't see it. It don't seem to be working, but can y'all hear me? Am I still here? Am I still live? Because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I did a live this morning at 1:30 in the morning. If you haven't checked it out yet, you might go check it out. It's kind of a continuum of what I was speaking on last night before I signed off. A lot of these things that I'm talking about are just things that I've already spoke on earlier on when the channel was first created. So try to understand that if you're rewatching it. And try to understand that when I first came on this YouTube community, I was very I had no filter. I had basically that this is the way I feel, this is the way I think, this is the way I'm going to present it. But over time, you kind of fine tune your craft, and you know that some things are really should be said in a different way. The verbiage should be changed a little bit. But in the beginning, there is no lie. I kind of was leaning toward, especially in that one case, that individual was guilty, and that there was a lot of um, there was a lot of evidence pointing that way, and I was going to show it. But that's not the route that I ended up taking with my channel. So I'm glad that I kind of distanced myself from those kind of opinions, because I didn't want to be that kind of channel. But that's all I knew at that point. So please be forgiving if you do watch some of the old stuff. That I was brand new to this, and I was just trying to find my way through these YouTube streets. My business was just open, so I was trying to catch the attention of many people. And some of the stuff I said, I should have researched a little better. But I'd like to say that I have gotten better at presentations and things of that nature. So if you do watch some of the older stuff, or you hear me streaming some of the older stuff and some of the stuff that I say, like I said, I didn't have a filter at that point. So, please be kind to my presentation. I am gonna restream a lot of the stuff that I did start in the beginning, because there is a lot of great information in those, and they didn't get a lot of likes. 2 likes here, 3 likes here, 1 like here. So I just want to restream those in the future, and hopefully use some of my own material. Hey AR, how's it going, buddy? Big respect to you and your channel. Hope you and Jen are doing great. We're just streaming about Rachel Morin and the killer finally caught. As you guys could tell in that press conference, it was quite different than the other case that we don't talk about on here unless I'm talking about it. The press conference was different. This guy that was presenting the press conference, the FBI guy, and the publicist, the family member, all this stuff. I never understood why the one in Moscow. How come they didn't let the family speak? How come they didn't let the family speak? I've never said that, but I've always thought that. How come they didn't let the family members speak? And how come they didn't let the FBI people speak? Because they were obviously in Moscow at that time. How come they didn't let them speak? No, it was all, well, we're still investigating. I can't talk about that right now. No, we're still investigating. I can't talk about that right now. Do you notice how all these other press conferences are different than the one who, you know, who captured the nation with that case? I liked how this guy, I like how this guy was able to just be upfront and say, hey, we can't talk about that because of the investigative process, but I can tell you, he did work odd jobs, he did this, he did that, he was in this area. The FBI guy was the same. He was able to tell you, hey, we used IgG in this process. Um, we had to fly down to El Salvador. You know, um, he was able to be transparent. That's the word, transparent, and gave the audience um, great stuff. Susan, I know that you enjoy that creator, um, but I don't want to push that creator on my channel. Not for any other reason than that creator is pushing a lot of narrative that is very detrimental to his health if he continues, because there's narrative that are being pushed on that channel um, that have not been proven. He has not shown his receipts. He just mainly just talked about how he has receipts and how he's going to do this, that, and the other. Um, so please, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not being one of those channels that doesn't want other channels to be spoken on. Just his narrative at the point. He's talking about gang affiliation and hits and things of that nature, and it's not conducive towards anything other than could get very volatile, and I don't want to be associated with that channel as long as he's pushing that kind of narrative. That's all I'm saying. They caught him trespassing, loitering outside of a business in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And since he had all these active warrants for his arrest, they arrested him without conflict. So that was good that um that they were able to do that. I accept it. You're forgiven. that I mean, that's the only thing that I really don't want to get into. Being associated with other channels that are pushing narratives such as that, because that's very deadly for a lot of different reasons. And if you know the gang lifestyle, and you know the positions of what gangs are about, um, putting stuff out there that's just not vetted, or even if it is vetted, you're putting that organization on blast, especially on a social media site. It could become very dangerous. Very dangerous. AR, can you second that for me if you're still here? I mean, I know you've done some work in the gang part of it. Um, I just don't want to be like labeled as one of those creators that is a hater or not wanting to, you know, advocate other creators. I'm not that type of person. I just know when to distance myself from certain narratives. But anyways, as far as this case is concerned, um, I'm glad they caught him. I'm glad they caught him. I'm glad that finally that he was able to be apprehended, and hopefully the justice process is done swiftly, and he's able to face the consequences of such a horrific act. Um, I don't know what more to say about that. I mean, I really don't. There's not much that can be said. My heart goes out to the family. My heart goes out to the children that were left behind. There were five of them. Um, so if we could pray for Rachel's family, her children, and everybody affected by this tragedy. You know, I'm sure it's needed. It's wanted, especially at this time, because they're gonna have to relive the situation all over again, going through the court process. You know, they're gonna have to see and hear the things that they've probably been wanting to put to rest, um, during the process of the court hearing and everything like that. So it's just begun for them all over again. And that's one thing that the lady said during the press conference. She said that, you know, a lot of times we don't see what law enforcement does behind the scenes. They're quiet, they're meticulous in what they do. And just because we're not hearing what's going on behind the scenes does not mean that they're not working. So try to remember that as well. I mean, I forget that as well. You know, sometimes I think, well, you know, law enforcement's being quiet. They're not really releasing anything, or they're not speaking on certain things. They must not be doing their job quickly. But, you know, these things take time, and patience is a virtue, you know, just like the family member said. They told her patience will prevail. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up and spending your Saturday afternoon with me. Um, Let me put this up here because Paula, that is so tragic. It really is. Let me see if my mouse will start working. I've had issues with mice, not mice, but my mouse is on my computers. The one in my job, the one here. It says, if I remember correctly, Rachel now has a grandchild on the way who will never know their grandmother. That is so that just breaks my heart. I mean, it just if you can't put yourself in that position just based on that statement, I don't know where you're able to just kind of blink out on humanity. But it's just terrible. Just terrible, man. I can't imagine being born into this world knowing that your grandmother, you'll never meet her because somebody chose to take take someone else's life into their hands and play God. It's just tragic. Well, you guys, y'all enjoy your weekend. Be safe out there. Do something productive. Try to defrag off this true crime stuff at least for a day or two or more if you need it. I just wanted to get on here because I saw this with a breaking moment. And I wanted to share it with my followers um, to let them know that they're actually justice does happen, even if it's not swiftly. Her first husband, who will be a grandfather, was on the show the other day, and he was just heartbroken while trying so hard to find the perp. I'm glad they found him. Like that police officer said, I hope he never sees the light of day. Because some people are just plain evil like that, and they don't deserve rehabilitative services to let them out. I'm going to plug one more live for tomorrow, hopefully at noon. I know it's Father's Day, but if you guys want to take a day off, I do understand it. Spend it with your family. Don't spend it with me. I will understand it. We'll get back on course next week. I don't really have anything planned because, like they say, the Idaho case is kind of slow. And if anything, I'll just replay a video that I've already done to kind of give a little bit of insight on some other things that maybe didn't get seen because of the algorithm or whatever. But you guys, spend it with your families, spend it with your loved ones. Don't worry so much about these lives that you got to break free from what you're doing in order to jump on here. I'm not saying that you do that, but you guys need to make memories. Make memories. Spend it with the living. The dead can wait, you know? So, the hearing on the 27th, is that for this case? Twizzle? I know they said that it could be, 3 to 6 weeks pending extradition. Yeah, y'all hit that like button on your way out. And if you do enjoy the channel, I'm not trying to promote it to gain a lot of people here, but I do want to get to 1,000, hopefully. If I get to 1,000, I'll be happy at that. We can just chill at 1,000. But if y'all know people that would like the channel's presentations and analytical stuff, tell them about the channel. Oh, Idaho? Okay. Are you going to be there? Are you going? Take some pictures, Twizzle. We want to see your stuff, man. Put it on your channel. Take some video of the courthouse. Some of us have never been there, so it'd be awesome. I know you can't do it in the courtroom, but it'd be nice to see, the outside on a video, walking up to the courthouse, stuff like that. We'd love to see it. Anything that's on that case, people are plugged in for sure. But unfortunately, there's not a lot going on. Yeah, you can't bring your phones in there. I understand that. Maybe you can sit away from the bald guy where he doesn't cover your shot. Yeah, outside would be great. Something else that would be nice that we don't get a lot of now anymore is where the grub truck was. Can you take us down that alley? Like where Jack Showalter walked away from the grub truck after they left. Can you kind of take it down that alleyway if it is an alleyway? I think it's. See, I've always thought it's a street. I don't know if it's an alley, if it's a playground area, if it's a pocket park, something of that nature. I mean, if you're in the area, I mean, I don't want you to have to do all this boots on the ground stuff just because I'm asking you, but if you're in the area, how about some video on that area, where the grub truck was? That way we can get some kind of insight on where they were picked up at, where that street actually goes, you know. The sheriffs look around in the courtroom all the time. I was picking at my shoe once, and I think they thought I was on my phone. Okay, like I said, if you're in the area, bro, I mean, I'm not asking for some special boots on the ground stuff if you're not in the area, you know. I'm hoping to go there in November. If everything goes well, I'm hoping to go there in November and just kind of walk around and see what it's all about. That way I could finally take the curiosity out of my brain. Because you see other people's boots on the ground and you're like, okay, keep going, keep going. And they turn off to the left or they turn off to the right. You know what I mean? I'll spend the whole day camera shooting the whole town. I'll be giving Idaho, Moscow, a tourism video. You know what I mean? So, you guys have an awesome day. I'm out of here. Um, Stay safe out there. And I can promise you I'm not going to do another live unless it's a breaking news thing. You know, unless they find Sebastian or Summer Wells or something of that magnitude, I won't get on here. So you guys, I'm out.